We're in our final minutes here of my final show on the Kevin and Bean program with our good friends Adam Carolla and Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy, you asked earlier, and we got sidetracked for me to speak about Kevin.
He said he was going to I
demand it.
What is it you want to know? You've known us both well for a long time. What don't you know?
Well, it's not what I don't know. I know everything. I mean, I know everything about the two of you. I know more than I would be comfortable sharing on the air.
Probably knows more about me than Bean does.
Yeah, but I think that you haven't. I think that
Let me jump in.
Yes,
this is not going to help. I'm just going to tell you right now.
All right, if you would ask any of us at 6 a.m., do you want to talk to poor man today?
Right.
The answer would be no.
Correct.
Absolutely not. But I think we're all glad we did.
Agreed.
In a sort of cathartic, end the chapter kind of way. And I think that's kind of what Jimmy's looking for and all the listeners are looking for here. Not necessarily tears, but I think we would regret it. I think we would regret it if that conversation didn't take place.
Jimmy, tell Bean that I don't talk directly to him.
I think it's just interesting when you are, because I did, before Adam and I were partners, I was on the radio with some other guys, and it's hard. It's like being married, and it's in a way.
But with less sex.
Well,
sometimes not
in my case.
Okay,
but it is to maintain a relationship like this. It's not just the fact that you're spending 4.5 hours a day together, but your well-being, your income, your
livelihood
stature, your livelihood, all of this is connected with each other. It's unique, and I think that you guys are.
Effed up?
Doomed?
Well, I don't want to.
I knew Jimmy was going to cry. This is why.
Yeah, we got our tears.
It only took 2 hours.
I'm going to be the one to show some emotion here.
Let the man speak.
Okay.
I just want to thank you guys. That's it. I love you guys. I do.
I must leave and do 18 podcasts, so I want to just jump in and say...
By the way, which one has Asperger's? Is it Bean or Adam? Because I'm actually crying, and Adam goes, I got to go do a podcast. I got to do it.
All right. I will make myself very vulnerable here.
Yes.
When Jimmy sent me an email... and he said, "Can you be a part of this?" The subject line was, "I know you're very busy." And I said, "I am very busy, but I would not be busy if it were not for Kevin and Bean and you, Jimmy, who I love dearly. I was a struggling carpenter. I didn't have insurance. I didn't have a pot to piss in. I didn't have medical, dental, auto insurance. You've completely changed my world. And by the way, if my wife and kids are listening, you too, because yes, you got your world affected.
Sounds like you're bitter at your family now.
But what I'm saying is not you affected my world, and I was able to go affect other people's worlds because I'm going to go to a place with a bunch of employees now, and I've helped their world because you helped my world, Jimmy. That's all Jimmy does is help people around him in a positive way.
This isn't supposed to be about Jimmy.
And
Jimmy, we're sorry you're
if you were sitting here, I'd say the same thing about you. And Bean, I was thinking about you. I was thinking, well, we're not going to hear Bean. And I realized Bean, when somebody dies, you go, they still live in your heart and they still live in your mind. Bean has always been that way while he's on the earth and while he's alive. Like, I feel a connection with Bean. I don't talk to Bean often. We don't see each other often, but I think we all have that sort of invisible connection with Bean. As who do you have a connection with that you don't see or hang with or have lunch with more than Bean? It's Jesus and Bean.
And the new show name.
Mr. Rogers as well.
That's the best kind of relationship, though, isn't it?
So I thank you on a selfish note for
Thank you, Adam.
making everything possible for me. Thank you, Bean. Thank you, Kevin, for being open-armed, and you didn't need to let me into your world. You did, and you completely transformed my life.
And we're better for it. But I would like to say something to Bean, and I put this in an Instagram post, and that is, I don't
follow you on Instagram, by the way. I don't know if I was meant to see that. But
I don't get the job at KROQ if it's not for Bean. I don't keep the job at KROQ if it's not for Bean. Like, there was many, many years right up to like today where I didn't think I was enough. And Bean was always so effing solid, knew what he was doing, and I was scared out of my mind. There are many, many years. Honestly, I feel like Bean just dragged me along. He didn't know that was going to be his role, but it's sort of what happened. And let's be honest, I'm not a good enough broadcaster to be here. Honestly,
that's true.
I believe that.
I mean, no.
I really do believe that.
No, I know you believe it, but that's silly.
I agree. I agree with the Kimmel guy. Yeah, that's not
the Kimmel guy.
Yeah, you deserve every bit of the success of this program.
I don't believe that. I believe that you carried the show a tremendous amount of time.
But here's
and you know that's true.
I don't think it's true because I'm telling you, if I'm by myself or with other people, there's not the magic. I mean, look, I can have a great time talking to Jimmy or talking to Jensen or talking to Allie, whoever, but there's something with Kevin and Bean together that we've known since Arizona, since the first time we ever got behind a mic together, is that there's a spark and there's magic and there's chemistry. And I've never had that kind of chemistry with anybody else in my whole life.
So leave. That's your answer.
So my answer is to leave.
Lock it in.
I think I said this at our Broadcasting Hall of Fame induction a few years ago. I mean, the luckiest, aside from the day I met my wife, the luckiest day of my life would have been the day that I walked into that radio station in Phoenix and met Kevin. And just like when Jimmy and Adam met each other, they certainly could never have known what the decades would unfold after that meeting. It was the same thing with me. And a million years, I never would have imagined that this would be a relationship that would last for more than half my life. I mean, it ends today. There won't be a relationship after this. But it was, people, and this is something else I said in the speech. People have come up to me over the years, and especially young people in radio. They're like, "What's the secret? How the success and the longevity?" And I said, "Do a show with Kevin." That's your answer.
What?
You want to figure out a way to...
worst advice ever.
It worked for me.
What's wrong with you?
Kevin Smith is a douche. I don't even know why you would go there.
I wouldn't have this job or this career either if I hadn't been lucky enough just to, the stars aligned and we were able to meet each other back then and make it work. And I'll tell you something else, to your point, Jimmy, about how a relationship like this, an on-air thing, is a show is like a marriage. The temperament that Kevin has is exactly the right temperament to do a job like this, where you have to make a million decisions and you're never going to agree on all of them. And we both understood very early on that you have to pick your battles and you have to know what's worth fighting for. And most of the stuff doesn't really matter. And we both are the kind of people, thank God, that are not going to break up over a fight or an argument or a disagreement, because we want to work together. And the next day we want to come back and do another great show. So why let any single decision ruin what's great? And I think that that's been also the secret to our success, is that we have been, we want to stay in this, so we work together. And it's
what happened? Why are you leaving?
and look, this is the greatest job in broadcasting, and I get to do it from my house, you guys. And they pay me so much money. And I understand that people can look at it and go, it's so stupid, but it really is just a question of your off-air life versus your on-air life. The on-air life couldn't be any better or more fun, but the off-air life is where I'm looking to make some upgrades, and that's why I'm leaving.
Have you told Donna yet?
Donna's very excited about going.
Oh, she's going with. Okay.
So I don't know if you got what you wanted, Jimmy, but I think
yes.
Kevin and I love and respect each other and always have, and we both know how lucky we are to have hooked up.
And did we hook up? I don't forget that.
Oh, yeah.
Cross paths and
you
work
guys
together.
done a lot of weird stuff.
I want to be honest. When is the last time you told Donna she used to be hot? I mean, really,
still hot.
A husband has to do that every once in a
No,
while.
my wife is still way too hot for me. I absolutely outkicked my coverage. There's no question about that.
Well, thank you guys.
Thank
You got what you came for, Jimmy?
Yes.
Okay.
And
Only 2.5 hours later.
And Bean, I will come visit you in a place for Mom.
Okay, thank you, because that's where I'm going to be living.
That's where we're sending him.
And let me say the same thing that I said earlier today, just in case there weren't people listening when when Ralph Gurman called in, or some of the other guests that we've had on the show, and that is, there's no Kevin and Bean without the supporting cast, of which you guys are a major part. And I extend that also to Jensen and Allie. This show doesn't fly without great people working with us. It's not just about us. So thank you for your many years of contribution.
Armenian comedian.
Obviously,
Yeah.
I'm disappointed we don't have him on again today for the last show. To be honest,
We'll be hearing a lot of him January 1st.
But I know that, Adam, you got a bunch of podcasts to go do. And Jimmy, I understand you're on TV in some capacity
Yeah,
now.
I have
so
a
we
show.
Oh, really? Why did you never mention that to us? We would have promoted it.
You seem preoccupied.
I want to keep in touch with both of you guys, and we love you, and thank you so much for spending your morning with us here today.
Love you, Bean.
Adam Carolla and Jimmy
Thank
Kimmel,
you.
you guys.
Yeah.
We'll come back with one final segment after this on KROQ.